We're live. We're working.
All right, we're gonna get started. To be fair, the freshmen just came, so if you guys want to drink, head south or north, technically.
Oh, no. Okay, we'll have to remember that.
Was that the bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right.
I want to get rid of anybody sending me to the bathroom.
Send it back.
Any
All right.
complaints, it's that way, okay?
All right, so first I'd like to do the board introductions. I'm Adam, I'm your Storm president, and I'm gonna pass it to the coach with a full cupcake mouth.
Yeah, call me with a cupcake mouth. I'm John Slocum. I'm a member at large in charge of coaching and education.
I'm Lisa Brewer, member at large also, and can we announce that Tanya's now on a
Sure.
member at large?
Why not?
Yay, okay.
Brian Ballack, I'm your treasurer. I'm Marcus Scott, I'm your scribe, aka secretary.
Sounds much better in your accent.
And Kathy Nix, our vice president, is not here tonight. She's unfortunately traveling for work, but she might be calling in.
She may be joining us by Zoom.
Maybe joining us by Zoom, so I'll give this back to Adam.
Thank you.
Small glasses.
All right, I'd like to start off thanking our sponsors. Our gold sponsors is DRH Investments, so thank you very, very much. Our bronze sponsors are DRB, Dave Bennett Home Services. Are they here? I don't think he's too busy, too many referrals. JS Coaching Systems, did I get it right for the first time? Okay.
Yep.
Legacy Pools, is Steve here?
Nope, he's in Puerto Rico.
All right. Longevity Wellness with Cynthia Clark.
She was supposed to be here. Don't know if she can make it.
All right. New Image Dentistry, Lisa Brewer. You can check out my choppers. She does a good job. Sarasota Home Advisors, my lovely wife Tanya, who is actually at home helping somebody purchase a new house, and welcome them to Sarasota. I know it's my phone. I'll turn it off in a second.
Oh, yeah, your phone.
Yeah. Sunshine Pool Cleaning, which is my friend Toby Hart, and myself, which I'll get to later. We have a couple of new members, though. Lisa, you want to help me introduce them?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, and visitors.
I'm gonna ask them to introduce themselves. So we have a new member, that's Scott, that we met at
Saturday,
that's
we were
right,
Saturday.
in
Yes,
Claremont.
I spied on you all first before I decided to join.
And you're still here.
And I'm still here,
Do you
so my
mind-
name is Scott
Can you stand
Osborne.
up? Thank you.
My name is Scott Alcorn. I spied on you all on Saturday and wherever we were. What am I going to say? Let's see. I'm originally from New York, but I've had a house here for about 20 years. I've lived internationally mostly, in Africa, India, and Europe, so I traveled a lot pre-COVID. I work with nonprofits. I've been doing tries about 5 years. I was a runner before that, and I don't really know how to swim, so swim is my learning curve.
You're a triathlete.
And, yeah. And what else would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to mention that we've got a great coached workout that people are not taking advantage of. 7:30 to 8:30. It's down at Selby Aquatic Center, formerly known as the Y, and it's the gal teaches masters, and the class that she's doing for us, the master's class, is specific for triathletes. Steve and I have been doing it for the last 3 months, and she's a great coach. Daphne, who's well known in our community. So I invite you guys to take advantage of this opportunity because we've never had this type of coaching for swimming before. So,
I'd like to hear more about it.
yeah, you just have to be a member of Masters for the insurance purposes, and then it's $75 a month to swim with Daphne. And she coaches you the entire time. So I'd like to see more people participate, take advantage of that. So welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Mark.
Mike.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Hi.
Tell us about yourself.
Hello, I'm Mike. I've been living in Sarasota for 20 years or so. I came here and I love this town, so I stayed. I came in on a whim and I stayed since then after that. I'm new to the triathlon sport. In fact, the triathlon that I was doing this past Saturday was my first one.
Is that Claremont? At Claremont.
I can't.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
awesome.
kicked my butt, but I won't more of it. So, and yes, I do. I'm a little bit on swimming part on the open water. I got to get a little better at that.
You chose an easy one. So.
Yes, right. The one, yeah.
What distance did you do, Mike?
I did the 1/3.
Ooh, wow.
running and swimming for a while, but never in open water. And so the lake kind of threw me off a little, but
Okay.
I somehow made it.
Awesome.
Great job.
And one thing I'll interject is that, pretty consistently,
There are people out at the blue lifeguard stand on the beach, Siesta Key Beach. I know Dave and Linda swim there on Saturdays typically and Sundays. Saturdays, what time do you all go?
7:30, but there's a group that go 8:30, there's loads of swimmers all weekend.
And then usually 8:30 or 8, 9 o'clock on Sundays, and then they're swimming all during the week out at Blue.
Oh,
Yeah,
So-
during the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is 7 o'clock.
so it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes later.
Yeah.
Original there at
Yeah.
8:30
A
too.
little dark at 7.
Yeah.
So when you get on the Storm Facebook page, they'll post, a few of us are going out at 8:30, anybody wanna join, that's where you're gonna get the
Oh, great.
information from when different people swim at different times.
That's a great open water swim opportunity, so. And there will be people, what's her name? Nicole, thank you. She'll take you under her wing and really help you. She's good with the newbies.
Scott, you want to
The Facebook page, so I tried to join that, but somebody has to moderate it and actually let me in, so we'll,
Yes.
somebody else. Okay.
So, I think I did.
Oh, okay.
You have to do 50 push-ups.
Yeah, I think I let you in
Thank you.
today.
Okay.
Awesome. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm Gay Kaiser. I just moved here a month ago from Montana, but I came from Dallas and Philadelphia. So in Dallas, I did the triathlon training. I've done triathlon. I don't want to do one. My nephew actually competes all over the country and does very well. So I'm semi-retired, and so I'm looking to get back into my swimming, biking, and running because I did that a lot in Dallas. And in the last 15 years, I've been doing hot yoga, so I've got to switch it up. So if anyone wants to take me around, show me where to go, that'd be great.
Awesome,
All right.
got a good group. Thank you, welcome, Dave. And, so she would go to the run sign up to, get on for membership, right?
Yeah, to join, yeah.
Okay,
I can send you the link.
okay, beautiful, that's Ren.
And Sheila's here now. Sheila?
Sheila?
There was a question about,
The
you had a
pool
question
here.
about the
Oh,
pool
yeah.
here, about the membership
Yeah, I
here.
will.
You found out about,
Do they discount us?
Yeah, they do. They'll give us the corporate rate. Like if anyone walked in off the street, you can pay $10 to spend a day there. And use the health complex. It's that big building with all
Oh,
the glass
what's like
windows
a
on it.
yearly membership
What's that?
for the pool, a yearly membership for the pool?
There is a yearly membership. If you, no initiation fee, you could pay $2.99 for the year, or, which comes out to like $25 a month, or you can pay it monthly. Still no initiation fee, but there's a 30-day notice to cancel your membership.
Okay.
So basically, when you sign up, it's 2 months.
Sure.
So you just have to remember
Yeah,
to do
I
it,
just
and
love
that's
those
35.
apartments.
I think it's 35 a month.
I just live down in those new apartments right down the street, so this is like perfect.
Right, versus and I swim there, I love it,
Love
they
it.
keep the pool clean, it's never really crowded.
Is it like a 50 meter?
It's like 25 meters.
It's 50 if you go down as bad.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, I think I brought Todd there and kicked his butt, just teaching him how to swim. So sometimes I'll bring people over there but I do mostly my practice in there, and there's a full gym, there's like a big room with hardwood floors, and if you have tapes and stuff you wanna do workouts up there, we've got an incline bench. Steve, just tell them you're a store member,
Okay.
and you get 3 days consecutive. So if you go one day, it's one day after another, you get three days to try it out.
Nice.
Thank you, Sheila.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're next.
Yes, I'm Al Lucino. I'm with her, if she wanted to come today, so I joined her. I'm initially from New York. Been here since February. I've always been an athlete, basketball, baseball, football, I played all sports, never really got into my cardio stuff, so I'm gonna be 60 in about 3 weeks. I'm gonna start anew, so.
All right.
That's enough for her.
Welcome. Welcome, everybody.
And
one more.
one more.
you got me right? I'm Gary Smith, retired in March. We moved down here from New Jersey. We lived at the beach in New Jersey. I've been, I don't know, doing races for a long time. I did my first marathon in New York City in 1977. There were only 4,000 of us that did it at that point. Did my first triathlon in 1985, competing against people like Lance Armstrong and stuff. In 1987, I did my first Ironman distance. It was called the Cape Cod Endurance, put on by David Goodwin, the guy who puts on Boston Marathon now, because there was only 2 Ironmans at the time, Canada, Penticton, and Hawaii. And since then, I've been racing and crashing and traveling and on a plane going this place in Europe, this place in China, or whatever, having a ball. Enjoy it immensely. Right before we left in July, the day before my birthday, the day before the New York City Triathlon, which I've done every year since it started, decided to take an endo in Central Park, warming up, and broke my hip and my pelvis, so I obviously didn't race that day. And then 2 days later, we were supposed to drive both cars down to Venice, and obviously I couldn't drive even though the doctor said I could, so my sons flew down from Boston, and we drove down, all that kind of stuff. Took the auto train, I don't know if anyone's been at the auto train. And you know, you're in this, I sprung for the sleeper cars, and it's like 17 hours on Space Mountain, and that's all. But I'm looking forward to getting to know folks. You know, hopefully you guys can help me out learning about places around here, and if there's anything I can do, because you know, I've crashed 3 good times, big times. Like I like to say, there's only 2 types of cyclists. We've all heard that, right? Those that have crashed and those that will. So I've taken care of 3, so hopefully 2 of you will have to worry.
Welcome, Gary. So did you end up settling in Venice?
Yeah, so we're building a house, supposedly, you know, with all the lack of supplies and stuff, but we're staying, actually with my wife's sister for now. We were staying by ourselves for 3 months, and now they came down, so it's a little different, you know. I was used to having my feet on the table, I was used to, you know, going out in my underwear, and, you know, I can't do that anymore.
Well, welcome, everybody. That's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Any other presentation?
All right. So we're gonna introduce you?
Sure.
Okay.
So Adam has kindly agreed to present to us tonight, and his topic is planning your race year. So we're lucky to have Adam. He's got a wealth of information, and he's a great resource. So lots of experience. Adam, you've done Kona how many times?
9 times.
9 times. And you've completed Kona how many times?
9 times.
I think he's got it right. All right.
Turn it over to you.
Do I have to use this or can I just?
You don't have to.
Lisa, what do you do with these race reports?
It's coming up after.
We brought these forward now, so we have the speaker come first, and then we'll come on.
We kick the speaker out, he's terrible.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how many people were gonna come, so maybe, I know I don't have enough, so maybe a couple people can share. You guys can pass it around if you wanna take notes. And then I can email it to you if you didn't get a copy. You probably can't read it, so I printed it out bigger for myself, but I'm happy to send this out to whoever wants it. While you're passing that out, a little bit about myself. Back in 1994, I weighed 236 pounds when I signed up to do the Marines, because I remember one night, I wanted to be in the Secret Service and all this other stuff, and there's the whole reason I just joined the Marines. I didn't join the Marines to lose weight. But I could remember one night in college laying in my bunk bed, and I felt my cheeks, like the gravity pulling my cheeks, like I was a fat, out of shape person. And I decided I would lose the weight in boot camp, right? Because why not? My recruiter called me 2 weeks before boot camp because 2 other friends signed up to go with me, and he said, "Hey brother, they're not going to give you a weight waiver," which is kind of what they spray paint you red, and they make you go on a diet when you're there. And he said, if you're not at your height weight standard, you can't go. So I had to lose about 46 pounds in 2 weeks, which I did, to go to boot camp. And I swore to myself I would never, ever get that out of shape again.
How did you do that?
I will not tell you how I did that. But I knew that I needed to. My dad did triathlon, and it was something that was interesting to me. So for an Olympic distance, I struggled to break 3 hours when I came out of the Marines. I had a breaststroke part of the swim. I can remember trying to get under an hour for a 10K off the bike. And I then I got that time down to 154. So I whittled myself down to that. And then I struggled with Ironman for several years. I probably DNF'd half the races that I went to. And the ones that I didn't DNF, I threw up, I think, the gum I swallowed when I was a kid and would walk to, I don't know, 12, 13-hour Ironmans. I have since hired probably everybody that you can think of in the industry, Joe Friel, Dave Scott, Chris McCormick, on and on. I wanted to align myself with the best people in the industry and gather their information. And I always knew that inside myself, there was something else that I could pull out of myself. And so I have since gone to Kona 9 times myself, which is great. My PR is 9:16 there. But what I'm more proud of is I've qualified 56 people who have never gone to Kona, and I've helped people who have totally transformed their lives because I can meet all the athletes that I coach wherever they're at and meet them and make sure that they can take the next few steps. So with that in mind, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I do that with my athletes. How I help, I've coached 2 Olympians too. So Ben Canute, I coached him for about 12 years. And then Kevin McDowell, who was leading the Olympics for a little bit this year. And he was the highest placing American. I coached him for 11 years as well too. So I'm pretty excited for those all. But I very much relish my athletes' experiences even more than I. Okay, so when you're thinking about your season, you want to set your goals. So the questions that I'll normally have is, what if I have multiple goals, right? And coming from Chicago, I used to hear, I want to do Ironman Wisconsin, which was September 10th. Cool, but I really want to beat my friends at the Chicago Triathlon, which is 2 weeks before. So what you want to do is you want to rank your goals, and we use A, B, and C. So I use A goals are like when you're sitting around having a beer later, after the season's over, what are the things that you're going to be happy with that you've accomplished? The B goals are things that are important to you. You definitely want to respect them, but they're maybe not the top priority. And then the C goals are things that are probably not important to you. There may be a challenging workout. It might be an experience. There might be something you want to gain, but you want to make sure that you identify the importance of every goal. I would recommend not having more than 2 or 3 max A goals. And then have integrity about those goals. So nothing is important to triathletes that I coach. Here's how it normally goes. Hey coach, can I sign up for this? Some friends and I want to do this and I don't really care about this. I know I have a race 2 weeks after that, but I really want to do X. Sure. I always tell my athletes, I'm like a doctor. I make suggestions, they have to make decisions. Ultimately, I work for them. If they want to tell me they want to race every weekend, fine. I'll tell them what that might do, how that might impact, but ultimately, I work for them. Then the week of the race comes. Oh, you know what? I really want my friends to beat me. Let's do a full-on taper for this. So have integrity to your goals so that you understand exactly what it is that you want to accomplish by the end of the year. Cool. All right, the next one was when you create your season goals, what you want to think about is the different phases that you want to build your season in. So once you identify your A goals, you can somewhat work backwards from that A race. And you can start to identify exactly what you need to be doing at certain phases. So I tried to outline here, and it would be a long speech. I tried to outline some phases that you might want to be thinking about as you work backwards from your goals. I'll hit this a little bit later. The annual training hours are things to be cognizant of. This is a general recommendation of how many hours you might need to train for if your goal is Ironman, if your goal is half Ironman, if your goal is Olympic, and if your goal is a sprint. Still to this day, I get asked, how many hours a week do I have to train if I want to do X? I don't steadfast to this. I've had athletes qualify for Kona that train 9 hours a week, which was hard, and I've had athletes that have qualified for Kona that train 35 hours a week, which is hard on other reasons. What I like to do is I like to think about key workouts. So when my athletes come to me and they say, hey, this is my A objective race, I have to take inventory of like, what else do they have in life going on? Because it's not always about training. There's overtraining and then there's overliving. And there's, for example, I coach some ER doctors and they work all night and they might have the next day totally off. But I know that I have to respect the day before that they were on their feet and probably didn't sleep. So I like to identify key workouts. So if someone wants to do an Ironman, I might say, okay, when we're in our build phase or our peak phase, going back to that other slide, we need to identify 1 or 2 days a week that you can dedicate 5 or 6 hours to training. Can you do that? Yes or no? And then we work backwards from there. Then the other week kind of becomes supportive of those things. But I just put this out here in case you needed it. Once we have the season goals, I like to be really specific with the goals, and I like to make them things that are objectionable and things that I can control. So, for example, you have this thing in your head called a goal achieving mechanism. So if I said to myself, I want to train next year to beat Kevin at the GFT race. Well, Kevin might have a flat at mile 15 of the bike, and once I pass him, that goal's met. And whether you realize it or not, your brain kind of shuts down. It doesn't know what to do next. So you want to make sure that your goals are things that are internal, things that you can control. A byproduct of those goals might be beating Kevin. But for me, I like to be super specific. So you won't be able to read it on your slide. I tried to pull a slide from one of the years Joe Friel, who was my partner for 15 years, coached me. And so we came up with my season goals. So for me, I wanted to have the perfect Ironman day, which was defined as a 54-minute swim, a 5:15 bike, and a 3:20 run for a total of a 9:39. So I also wanted to be top 5 amateur in all races, with the exception of potentially Ironman, and I wanted to run sub 6-minute miles at Muskoka, 70.3. Those were the things that were important to me going in, and those were my goals. Once I had those goals, and what I do and what he did with me was you come up with training objectives. So great. Now that I know that I have these goals and I know what days those goals are going to be asked of me, what are things that I need to do in training to let myself know that I'm on track to meet those goals? Those are training objectives. So for example, my training objectives were, I want to ride the course. I happen to live close to the course, so I wanted to ride the course, utilize pace and nutritional plans several times before the race, a minimum of 4 times. I wanted to use monitors to monitor the workouts more often to build consistency and confidence. So this was right at the time where power meters and speed distance watches were really coming out. I wanted to replicate the demands of the race with race bricks in training and utilize those devices. And then I wanted to try to capitalize on all quality workouts. So instead of being tired in all my workouts, we made it a goal to make sure that I could get up for the workouts that we felt were key. And then he came up with, I need to work on core and functional strength and nutrition. When we think about the things that are keeping me holding you or me back, or an Olympic athlete, I'm going backwards here, and I did want to say this. Even this guy here on the second slide, his name's Yuri. I got him as an athlete in 2005. Most of my athletes I've worked with for about 12 years without pause, so I take a lot of pride in that. But Yuri was 336 pounds, did not own a bike, and had never ran in his life, and of course got a Hawaii Ironman lottery spot in May. And that's how I met Yuri.
Do you know how old he was?
He was, no, because that wasn't, he's like maybe 5 years older than me right now, so he's maybe 50-ish now.
So he started in his 40s.
Yeah. But I had to train him totally different. So being that heavy, we did a lot of his volume on biking and all that other stuff. But from May till October, I had to get him ready for Ironman, Hawaii. He finished 3rd to last. I'm like, dude, you couldn't finish last, get us on TV, like, come on, like, you had to beat the nun, But then the next year, what you'll see here is in this picture, I think he lost 110 pounds, and he did Ironman Florida in 13:30. So he totally changed his life, and that's awesome. And I take more pride in, or as much pride in helping Yuri as I did helping Ben get to the Olympics. Because their goals are important to them, right? So whether it's Yuri or whether it's Ben or whether it's myself, I always take inventory of what are the limiters. So in other words, what are the things holding you back from being able to achieve these goals? When you figure out what's holding you back, that's how you help create your training objectives. So I can do a whole nother talk about creating that, but you want to spend some time on those training objectives. I think I did a duplicate slide here, or I'm out of order. I'm going to go to periodization here. So periodization, because I don't want to hit training objectives to a dead pulp. If you look here, you look at this slide here, which you probably don't see, but you can see at the top, you're starting the season, and at the bottom, you're ending the season. And there you have 2 pyramids kind of interlocked. And this is kind of interesting because if you ask most triathletes how training is going, they will almost always respond with the duration question, or duration answer. Hey, David, how's training going? Great, I ran 10 miles last week. Great, I have no idea if you're on track to meet your goals or not. Intensity is probably the leadest indicator of success, right? So if Dave's goal was to run 8-minute miles for 3 miles off the bike, and you ran 10 miles last week at 15-minute miles, great, not meeting your goals, right? But most people always default to volume instead of intensity. So I tried to use this illustration to show at the beginning of the season, you want to focus on general training. So I'll give you a little tip. With my Ironman or long course athletes, general training for those types of athletes is really short, hard workouts. If you read most periodization models, they'll always say start with pace, nice and slow, and work down to fast. That's totally opposite for a long course demands. If you think about Ironman, I promise you, even me when I ran 3:16 off the bike in Kona, that no one, even my friends Crowe and Tim O'Donnell, and never run Ironman faster than their best zone 2 pace. So 3:16 for me was 7:30, which is not fast running for me at the time. My friend Tio can run 2:40 off the bike, which is 6-minute miles, but I happen to know that he can do repeats at 4:40 pace. So again, not fast running, it's zone 2. So what I do is I start to work on general training for those triathletes. If you are doing short course, so David on the opposite spectrum specializes in sprint distances. So general training for him would be zone 2 development, long, easy base work. As you move closer to the race, you want to start to work on the demands of the race. Going on to the...
How do you find your zones?
I can talk about that if you want me to. Can I come back to that? Because I want to make sure that I don't go too long. If you look at the training triad, which I've posted next, there's actually 2 triads here. The one with the circles is the training triad, and then the letters in between is actually the advanced training triad. But the first thing that you want to concentrate on here is the circles, right? That's your basic training triad. So if we just look at this for a second, you have 3 points, right? So your aerobic endurance, that's your ability to overcome the distance. Obviously that's critical. It doesn't matter how fast you can go if you can't finish the race, right? Then you want to look at speed skill. That's not velocity. Speed skill might be working on your elbow catch on your swim or not crossing over. These are things that help you have skills to be able to produce speed, so essentially efficiency in your movement. And then you have muscular force, which is the ability to overcome resistance, right? So GFT, you have to have muscular force, as you know, because it's hilly, right? Especially on the bike. So when you look at the demands of the race, going back to training objectives, you might have different muscular force demands than if you did Florida, flat, Ironman, or 70.3 versus GFT. So you want to dial in this training triad. And the reason that that's important is because once you have these things dialed in, you can start combining these modalities for the advanced. So for example, if you combine endurance and speed skill, then you can work on anaerobic endurance, which is your ability to hold high speeds for long periods of time, or relatively. So let's say that that's 80 or 90 to 100%. If you look at the other side, if you look at aerobic endurance and muscular force, you get muscular endurance, which is your ability to sustain. So if anaerobic endurance is 80, 90, 100%, muscular force is like, can you sustain 70, 80%, for long distances, which is really where triathletes live and die, is that muscular endurance. If you combine muscular force and speed skill, you get sprint power. So if force is the ability to overcome resistance, power is the ability to overcome it quickly. So that could be pertinent for like a crit cyclist or an ITU racer. If there's a gap that opened, they have to close it down quick. They have to be able to get on that force or get out of a break. That's how you, like in a swim, that might be an example of power, not as utilized for triathletes. I don't expect everybody to understand or be able to read this next slide, but this is an example of how detailed I get with my annual training plans with the athletes that I coach. So basically what I'm doing is I'm mapping out their races, I'm working backwards and plotting out their phases, And then to the right, all those columns, if you have the color copy, I think there's one black and white. But basically, I'm saying like, okay, what are we working on in these phases? Are we working on endurance? Are we working on speed, skill, power, force, whatever? And it's specific or not to the race, depending on how I want to lay that out. As you lay that out, make sure you monitor your workouts. So I suggest having logs. I've had athletes that write so much in their logs that I have to sit down with a coffee just to get to what it is that they're trying to say. So with my athletes, I say, look, your log's for you. So I have different modes of communication if they have issues going on with their life or things that I need to know about. But like when I did Kona 9 times, I used to go back and look at how did my workouts that I'm doing now fare relative to the workouts that I had done previously, so that would help calm my nerves, right? So if I was having a bad day, I might look back and say 2 or 3 years in a row, I had bad days about the same time. So okay, I kind of expected that I'm on, you know, so those are the kinds of things that I would want to call out in my log for quick reference points. But the other thing that's nice about having a log is you want to have key objective measures. So and a good example of that is if you have your power meter on your bike, which again, when I first wrote this, that wasn't really a thing. But when I would be riding with somebody, I'd be like, hey, John, how you doing? Great. Hey, John, how you doing? Great. Hey, John, how you doing? Great. All of a sudden, John's dropped. Well, guess what? John wasn't doing great. Even though his subjective feedback to me the whole time was great, it doesn't matter if I was with him. I would go home and look at his data to see, like, how's he doing? How did he actually pace himself? Where did he make a mistake? I had one athlete that I was able to raise his FTP 25 watts in 2 weeks just to show him how to smooth out his pedaling. I wouldn't have noticed that just looking at him, but looking at the data going up and down, we were able to fix that. Okay, so these are just some fun things that I kind of got into. These are a couple example files that I tried to show you. I'm not expecting you to necessarily see them or understand them, but what I was trying to show here was, this was in 2009, going into 2010, where I had my breakthrough at Ironman. So my breakthrough at Ironman was, I was usually like 10:02. It didn't matter where I went. Florida was 10:02, Kona was 10:07, like, you know, all this. I could not break 10 hours. So I kind of really dove in on 2010 to try to figure out if I could crack that code. And this was kind of some of the examples of how I did that. This shows that I went out for a run where I just ran at about 70% effort. And I didn't think in anything other than just kind of keeping it around 70% effort. I really wanted to do that because I wanted to test some things a couple weeks later, and I wanted to be able to mimic the effort and see if the thing that I was changing actually made an improvement. So basically, if you saw a presentation I was giving, you would see that the first time I went out, my average cadence was 87 steps per minute. So this is when they used to just have one side. So, and my normalized, or my actual pace was, according to this, 7 minutes, 60 seconds. So I don't know why they said that, it's 8-minute miles. I went out about 10 days later and I made the decision that I was going to change one thing, and that thing for me was cadence. So I decided I was going to try to hold it over 90. And what you saw here is that I was able to go out on the same course, relatively the same effort, and I was able to take about I was able to get down to 6:15 pace for the same course. What was interesting to me about that, and it goes back to, I think so much about coaching and training and setting this stuff up is physical, but I also think it's art and mental as well too. When I did that, I decided to set my Garmin to just cadence. I didn't want to see anything other than the thing that I was trying to change. I could tell I was feeling pretty good, so with a mile left, this was like a 9-mile course, I flipped over and I saw, oh shit, I'm actually going 6:15 pace. Well, immediately I got tired, even though I was feeling fine. So I had, whether I realized it or not, a subconscious reaction to what 6:15 pace should feel like, and my body caught up right away. So now, what I do with a lot of my athletes is I try to find ways for them to race that even power output on the bike. If we're not hitting those numbers, we might start having bad self-talk, right? So I try to come up with ways to help my athletes work through that in a race environment so that they don't have those emotional responses to training, or to racing. This is just another fun example. This is one of the things that a good coach will do. You can do things to test if you're fit. So Lisa asked me how you set your zones. This is not how you set your zones, but this might be a way for you to test a zone that you think is right. So this would be somebody that we felt was maybe preparing for a half marathon. You could say, I want you to hold this heart rate, and you can see how the pace, which is the blue line, holds up relative to that heart rate. That's called decoupling. As you can see, there's a separation there. If they decouple more than 5%, you know that they're not going to be able to probably count on that. So I can go into all of this, and I don't want to bore people, but in my opinion, why do you need a coach, right? There's so many platforms out there, there's so many things, and like, look, if coaching was a mathematical equation, you wouldn't need one, but I can tell you that that's not the case. You look at Chicago Triathlon, I think there's or Chicago Marathon, I think there's 50,000 people, and they publish 3 training plans. I promise you those 3 training plans don't fit perfectly into 50,000 lives. But a good coach will help you determine your goals and objectives. A good coach can help motivate you, and a coach can help you understand the tools more efficiently. A coach can be objective. So triathletes, I know this might shock you, tend to do things that they like to do or feel that they're good at, and tend to avoid things that they're not good at or don't feel great about. And the best thing a coach can do is tell you what not to do. I could convince most of you to go for a 3-hour ride this Saturday, probably easier than I could get you to take the day off. Sometimes you just need a day off, right? So I can talk all about that later. But yeah, and also the fun thing about having a coach, it's like therapy. You get to go to therapy because you get to talk about you, right? So like when I'm on with my clients, it's all about them. So I hope that helps everybody. I can go deeper in any of these things, but that's how I would.
So do you think you should build, like, if you're gonna do a half Ironman, should you do like should that be like your 3rd event? Oh, and what do you recommend your events leading up to that might be?
In a season or like your 3rd event ever?
Season you mean?
Like if I'm doing Chattanooga in May,
Okay, yeah.
what do you recommend I do in preparation as far as racing goes? I tend to make that my big race my 3rd race.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know where I got that from, it's no.
Yeah,
scientific.
so that works for you. So but there's some level of comfort there for you that you like that. So if I was coaching you, I would take inventory like, hey, maybe that is perfect or maybe it's not, but you like it and that has value, right? So you're going to go into it and I'll know as your coach, if I can give you a good race in Chattanooga, 70.3, you're going to have more confidence going into your Ironman, which intrinsically has value, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say no. As a general rule, I try to tell athletes like for an Ironman, 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, the biggest thing I'll tell athletes is, look, you can put a race in there, but you're not allowed to be upset about the results because we're not going to focus on that if this is truly a C race. And this goes back to having integrity. What normally happens is I don't care until you realize you're going there with Kathy, and then I really want to beat Kathy, which you can do. So as long as you are putting in that race with the understanding of what the outcome might be of that race, you can be pretty flexible with that. And if you don't like to race, because I have other athletes that just don't like to race, maybe they don't want to travel, I like to build race simulation days. So like I can tell you with me, my key metrics used to be for going into a Kona, I knew I had to do 100-ish miles, pretty solid effort. And if I could run a mile, pretty aggressive, run an hour pretty aggressively off the bike, I knew that I was in shape to run about 40 to 60 seconds per mile slower in the race than I was actually able to do. So when I ran 7:30, I was able to go out in training, do 100 miles pretty hard, and then I was able to run like 6:30-ish off the bike for an hour. I knew, and I know that when I do that sample with my athletes, I can confidently tell them that they're fit enough to probably maintain, So my point is you can do it through race replication breaks or workouts, or you can put in workouts or races. It's totally up to you. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Rather than go into the race reports next, we want to do the race series update first, so that Sheila and Don may need to go.
Okay, so the race series is wrapping up. TFT was our second to last event last weekend. I saw a lot of you there, so please send your results to the race series email address, which is stormsarasotaraces21@gmail.com. All that information is up on the Storm Facebook page and the Storm website on Run Sign Up. It's got a list of all the races. Even if you haven't sent in any results yet, you can send them all in. If you do that, you're eligible for the race series. There's one more race in December. It's Clash Daytona, December 3rd through the 5th. And that's the last race in the race series for the year. Right now, we have about 22 people that have submitted results. I know there's a lot more of you that have raced a lot of those races over this past year, so if you want to get in on this, you still have time. Go to the Facebook page under events, or go to the, actually what's better is go to the Run Sign Up website. There's all the details about the race series, all the races. You can look up your results wherever you get your results. USA Triathlon has their all of your results up there for most of those races. I think Terry's races aren't up there. And just please submit them, because if you don't submit them, I can't count you and you can't win. Cool.
Why don't you explain what the race series is for the new members?
Okay, so the race series is, every year we pick, this year was I think a dozen races that are mostly local in Florida. And there's competition, it's a club competition, and there's a scoring system that we use, and you race against your peers in the club.
In your age group.
And it's by age group, like it would be in a regular race. And there's, at the end of the year, there's prizes.
At our annual end of the year party,
Which is next year.
Next year in January, we give awards for that.
It's our kickoff party.
It's our
So it's at the
kickoff.
beginning of the year.
So
Awesome.
look
Thank
up
you,
that
John.
information, stormsarasotaRaces21@gmail.com. All the information on how to submit your results are in the thing. Make sure you identify yourself, the race, and your results.
Thank you, Dom.
Thanks.
We appreciate your help with that.
Thank you, Dom.
That was Kathy.
Kathy, the VP. Well, I think it's the money. Well,
You got a race
it's
report.
on the agenda.
Who's doing Sand Key?
Sand Key. Tina, you were at Sand
Anyone
Key,
do Sand
right?
Key?
Can you give us a race report on Sand Key?
It was a great race. I hadn't done that one before. Game On, they put on a good race. Who else was there?
Sheila, were you?
You yourself and you.
Stan?
Christina,
Mr.
yeah.
Jamie?
Who?
Jamie Neeks?
Yes, Jamie was there. Oh, and Paul Van Ryan and his wife did the relay.
Yeah.
It was a race series race.
It was.
Yeah, but it was a fun race. I did very well. First in my age group.
Well, imagine.
Got a lot of points on that one.
I think you've got your age group wrapped up.
No, it was a fun race. I'll definitely do that one again.
So the newbies who don't know, she's won how many in a row? 26 races in a row?
23 in a row.
23 in a
She
row.
needs some
Except that one
competition.
year I got you.
She's a little
That
far
was
from
before I started counting.
We're gonna hear from Tina later, as she's our featured member tonight, so we're anxious to hear. Awesome. What other races did we have? Oh, City Island. Ren, you wanna do the race report for City Island?
Oh my gosh, I have a new favorite venue.
Yeah.
I like it because, one, it was a cooler morning. It was a cooler morning. Just in case you don't know, I'm dressed to go to a redneck party. I don't know, I'm dressed like this. Anyway.
Not that there's anything wrong with redneck.
She's in my neck of the woods.
So anyways, it was a small race by Terry, and it is what it is. You know, you gotta love his races, and if you are somebody who's very anal and this and that, it may not be a race for you, but it was swim to that sailboat and then go to that sailboat. That was it. But no, because you bike to Longboat Key, which I'm very familiar with, and then we run in the trail run. It's like off the road. I mean, it's just a really nice venue. We had a lot more volunteers this time, getting better. It's just a fun morning. It was cooler, and a lot of storm presence was there. It was on the water and the bay. It was just a nice little race.
Better weather.
Better weather.
Yeah,
And
than last year.
his last race is November 14th. I know it's the same day as the Wow Ride.
Is that the over the hill race?
It's the Over the Hill race, where he's given special awards for those of us that are over 50.
Actually, while we're talking about that race, there's a $20 discount for Storm members using the code STSAMTOM.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
ST, $20.
And that's on Minnesota Key, another great venue, because you're biking on Minnesota Key. So,
Yeah, he's been real appreciative of all the volunteering that we've been doing.
I mean, my kids are voluntold, but they've been coming and.
They're good though, they do a good job.
Yeah.
They're very experienced, they've been voluntold for years.
But it was a good little race, and I highly recommend it for the venue itself. It's in our own backyard, Longboat Key, so, was.
we try to include a lot of local races just because it's, you know, a lot of people don't like to travel. The person who she's referring to, Terry Rillard, does a lot of these local races, and it's kind of jungle rules. So like she's saying, if you're real strict and, you know, you're not good with that, which sometimes I'm not, then maybe those aren't the races for you. But,
He's recently dropped out of USAT.
so they're not sanctioned.
Yeah, so they're not sanctioned, but there is another company he went to, and I think it had to do with insurances and the way things were.
Who needs insurance?
Was the last
Yeah.
race sanctioned?
Yeah.
I don't think any of his races.
It had to be, because you signed up, you had to show your USAT.
Yeah, you had to provide your number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something recent.
You gotta go get some more ranking points,
Someone's standing somewhere, I won my first triathlon in a row since Tina didn't show up. It's awesome. Okay, let's see, we bounced around there a little bit, so I'm getting the inline skate.
I have one more.
Yeah.
So I did Kerrville, Texas.
Oh, wow.
There were 1,500 people in the sprint.
Wow.
That was an unbelievable race. It was a whole weekend. So the sprint was on Saturday, and then on Sunday was a quarter and a half. They shut the entire city down.
Wow.
It was dual or two. It was different transitions areas. There was a transition 1 and transition 2. But it was really cool. I brought this because the finishing medals are actually belt buckles.
Oh,
love it.
So and they change the belt buckle every year.
That's cool.
There's deers everywhere if anybody wants to see this. There's deer everywhere, so they're literally, you're on the run and you're like 5 feet away.
Wow.
And they don't care. Great food. Everybody had fajitas. The entire town shuts down.
Wow.
The course is literally closed except for one section of one road.
So where is this again?
The sprint was on Saturday.
No, sprint was on Saturday, and then the quarter and a half were on Sunday. So, but there were 1,500 in just in the sprint.
Where in Texas?
Kerrville,
What's it near?
an hour west of San Antonio.
Okay.
How was it?
It was warm during the day, but it was the water temperature. You swam in the Guadalupe River, which was like Nimitz. And I don't do cold water, as she will tell you. I don't do cold water, and it was 72 degrees.
That's
but
perfect.
But the air temperature was 58, so the swim felt really warm. So relatively, I mean, everything was flat except for when you came out of the lake, you had to run up a hill.
Wow.
Very cool.
So,
wow.
When was it, Mike? Tom, sorry. When was it?
When was it?
Yeah.
September 14th, same day, same weekend as Sam Key. Thanks.
Did you place? You got hardware.
5th in my division.
They awarded 4 deep, right?
Nice.
Good job, Tom. Thank you. Awesome.
I would highly recommend that race. So.
It's awesome. So flying out of Austin.
Yeah, I flew into Austin and then his best friend's there, and I will tell you that their packet that they give you, their bag, your goodie bag, is basically 2 goodie bags.
Wow.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff, including a float if you want to lay on the river after you're done.
Old school hardware.
Cool.
Yeah, old school.
Old school hardware.
GFT.
We have GFT and we have inline skate marathon left. So GFT, who wants to talk about GFT?
GFT.
She was calling you out.
Linda did her first third distance. Give us a race report.
Okay, I did the 1/3 and I came first in my age group. Who's in my age group doesn't do long distance races. So I have to kind of keep that in mind as a strategy.
So what you're saying is you're tougher than her. You're tougher.
Anyway, there were a lot of people there. It was a great race. It was a very hot run. So the bike was hilly, but I managed not to walk on it and saw a lot of people out on the course. And it was really great having all the other teammates there to cheer everybody on. Yeah, a lot of people did the sprint, but they hung around for the slower people, of which I am one. So we had a great team dinner and
I have no complaints. It's a great weekend.
Yeah, I think everybody.
Lots and lots of hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we cleaned house in the hardware department.
We stormed the event.
We definitely stormed the event. We had one Ironman finisher, or 140.6 finisher, first timer. We had 5 and a new guy, so 6 and a 1/3.
Well, Chris Lance, 2 new guys.
2 new guys, okay, that's true. We had several 4 in the 1/3 aqua bike. We had Tebow won his age group also. He was there. I forgot. I didn't see him. He was so far ahead of me.
I think he came in 4th overall.
4th, yeah, I think he was 4th overall too. I mean,
And Marty came in 3rd.
Marty came in 3rd. Our sprint contingent I mean, they might as well just poured they might as well just took the hardware trailer and dumped it in our tent. That's how we
Just
did.
say a lot of the photos that they're putting out there on Facebook, there's storm members everywhere in our gear. Like you go through and they post new photos and there's a storm member.
Yeah.
Not in like your own individual ones, but on their like web page, on their Facebook page, which is now updated. Their cover photo is the group photo that he took of you guys.
Right.
So if you look through, if you become a member and join Friends of
the Great Floridian, yeah.
And his page, we're everywhere in the feed with our
And somehow somebody, I don't know how this happened, but somebody ended up on the BB photography thumbnail picture, climbing Sugarloaf. Me. So I'm the cover photo for the BB photography for that. I have no idea. It must have been the fact that my kids glow in the dark.
Love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a great time at GFT. I'm gonna steal the mic for one more thing, quick. I want to talk about opportunities we have coming up. Ren, you have a run on. You're starting Tuesday night south.
Tuesday night runs at the New Balance parking lot, and where Plaza Mexico is. We meet at 6.
On Stickney
runs.
Point.
Yeah.
On Stickney Point. She's got a south run on Tuesday nights at what time?
We meet at 6. We run at 6:15.
6:15 run, and then we're also going to have a north run at Benderson on Tuesday nights. Again, it's actually right next door to New Balance on Cattleman, but we're going to be starting at Play Try, which I'm back into trying to get them to put up some cash, but they do offer us 15% off across the board, including Garmin. And bikes have no discount right now because you can't get bikes, yeah, it'll be Tuesday night, 6:30. If anybody's interested and can get there, I am still going to do a brick, but I will be starting at 5 o'clock from there. It is unofficial. It's run what you brung on your own recognizance. And I'm also interested, if anybody's interested in talking to me about doing a Saturday swim clinic, I could grab Sheila, and if Adam was available, we can go down, and anybody who wants, we could depending on if we want to do Arlington or John Marble. I'm a Marble fan because I do live in Northwest Bradenton. It's a long drive to Arlington, but I'm willing to go down there and do a free clinic for anybody who wants to work on their long distance stuff and strokes and even people who may not even be able to do a longer distance try because they can't go very far.
What's Saturday?
That's what I talked about. We'll try to get something together, and sometime in November on a Saturday, do that. And if not, it'll be we'll look at like March when it starts warming back up again.
Warming back up. It doesn't get cold here.
What's the legal full swim?
Our cold front lasted 12 hours last week.
Yeah, the next one won't.
Right.
All right. So finance. I think we're not good.
We're
Road
gonna
cleanup.
do,
Road cleanup. Where's Kathy? Is she? Hand Kathy the mic.
Yeah.
Kathy.
So currently Jamie Nix has been heading up the road cleanups, but he is, at the end of the year, he's gonna be relinquishing it. And I think that our Brian Ballack has showed some interest in resuming the responsibility if we wanna continue doing the road cleanup as a project. With the portion of the road that we do is right here in front of Sun and Fun. We do it once a quarter.
Do you want to say anything about it, Kathy?
Sun outdoors.
One of the things.
So what are your thoughts, Brian?
So I've done all 4 cleanups this year, and I think probably the things that I've noticed is that, number one, the two cleanups during like the spring and the summer are really hot. And the two cleanups, you know, in the beginning of the year, I think we did January or?
By January.
Yeah, and then we just did the last one last weekend. And those two aren't so bad. It's kind of a bit of a logistical challenge because we want people to come out and, you know, obviously do the volunteer work of cleaning up, and then we want to reward those people who do come out with, you know, having a nice lunch at Stoudemire's afterwards. However, we're either finishing way too early because it's hot out, and then we end up having to wait, you know, like an hour and a half for Stoudemire's to open. So, you know, I had brought up the idea of maybe, you know, starting even earlier and then going to breakfast afterwards, or maybe doing like the cleanup at the beginning of the year and the cleanup at the end of the year later in the morning, or I think we usually have been starting at like 9:30. We could maybe start at 10 for those because it's a little cooler, and that would kind of probably time it with about the time that Stoudemire's opens. And then the two, like the spring and the summer cleanup, we would do early in the morning. And I think someone had said, is it a First Watch that's there on Fruitville? I'm sorry, what?
On the other side of
What's the restaurant though? First Watch, okay.
Cattleman and Fruitville.
So yeah, so those would be like a breakfast thing. And the one thing, and I will be honest with you, the one thing that really frustrates me about this project is that I consistently see the same people out there doing it. And, you know, it's my understanding it was started as a way for us to, you know, give back to the community. And, you know, I understand that everyone's busy and everyone's training and everyone's this or everyone's that. We need to get more people out there to do this, because I can guarantee you, based on other organizations that I've been part of, if you get the same people coming out to do it over and over again, they get tired of it and they will stop doing it. And it's my understanding that we commit to this a year at a time.
I think so.
Yeah, Kathy, is it a year at a time?
Yeah.
It's 2 years.
2 years. So we have 1 year left.
No, it's a year at a time. Jamie's been doing it for 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay. So basically what we have to decide is, since we've fulfilled our obligation for this year, you know, do we want to do this again next year? We have to do it a minimum of 4 times a year. There is paperwork that has to be filled out, and, you know, people have to sign off on a sheet, you know, basically saying, okay, you know, we've had people that we've come out, we're basically verifying that we did go out, we did clean up everything. And I don't think they inspect our garbage or anything like that, but, you know, it is something that we're held accountable for. So, and I will say I'm a little hesitant about continuing to do it, just because, like, I remember the first time we did it, we had like 20 people there. The worst, you know, show up I think we ever had was maybe like 5 or 6 people, and
We had 2. Me and Dave did it at one time by ourselves.
Yeah, I think Jamie
Yeah.
did it by himself.
Yeah, that is, in my opinion, unacceptable. You know, we can't take on this responsibility and not have people show up to do it. So I don't know if other people maybe have ideas on how we can get.
I don't have any right to weigh in because you've been running it. But to me, like when I look at Saturday, sometimes I'll go ride the village ride. I'll go ride the village ride or whatever. So making it early, definitely I'm a no-go. But like, I think it could be like more fun if it was later, because then it's like I don't want to, like, even if I got up earlier, I don't want to go and then have a drink with you guys at Stoudemire's and then go do my break. Assuming that I blew off the, you know what I mean? Like, especially like around here, like Saturdays is the one time of the week that I can ride with people that you know, and so Now, if I could go do that and then show up with you later and then hang out, I don't care if I have a couple of drinks with you guys, cause like the day's over and it's like becomes our social event. That would be my vote.
It is
But-
only 4 days a year.
I was gonna say.
I understand, but I'm just being honest, so.
So do we wanna
so-
continue this as a
Yeah.
project, as a group? That's what we need to vote on first. I mean, is this
That's
something
the
that you
choice
all?
I have, do I go ride with the idiots, or do
Right,
I
and as
go, you know,
triathletes,
go
Saturday
trash
morning
pickup?
kind of
And
be
I don't wanna
kind
give
of
up my
like
training.
sacred.
So first, let's decide,
Yeah.
do we wanna continue to do this as a, or to,
It's a great
donate to the
thing.
community?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we wanna take a vote on it? Because as a group, if we vote on it, then we need more participation. I
Or
think this
Thursday afternoon or something, or night or something.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure. It can obviously bring you at this.
Mhm.
Is it a specific part of the city or the
Right here,
town?
right out here in
It's
front.
actually-
It has to be
Right out
here
front
only?
here.
or-
Well, yeah, we just do a stretch of fruit film.
Yeah, so the whole adopter highway scheme, so
Right.
it's still on adopt
Yeah.
like 2 miles of
And our
fruit
name's
out there.
on the sign,
And
it
the plaque.
says, adopt a highway, Sarasota.
I mean, it doesn't mean that we're locked into this location
Got it.
either, but, I don't know
Can
how
I
we
throw a
chose this.
suggestion?
I think we chose this because we ride out here and we meet here, that was
Yeah.
one of the reasons why we chose it.
Could it be maybe more advantageous if we were to mix it with a workout? Like maybe, what I'm thinking is, like, if we were not locked into this area, could we go and do a swim and clean the beach, and then maybe move to the trail and do a bike, and then do the trail, and then maybe move to another part of the
Make it
city?
a workout.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way. I think when
Okay.
you adopt a portion of the highway, it's your designated.
Gotcha.
But to your
So
point, it
it's-
could be somewhere where you could plan a workout.
Well, this is a great location, that very, Lisa, Kathy and I, not this time, but the last time, we did a ride in the morning. I mean, it was just, it wasn't a long ride, but if we planned it properly and showed up earlier,
Mhm.
and if the cleanup started a little later, we could have had.
Right.
a
So maybe in the
longer ride.
winter we could do that.
I guess my feeling is, do we have any professional triathletes in our club?
Swanson?
Define professional.
Anyone-
Like, I definitely make a living off coaching triathletes.
No, I
so-
understand, but
Yeah.
to my knowledge, it's not like our club is made up of professional triathletes. For you guys to miss a bike ride or a run on a Saturday, because that's more important than coming to pick up garbage.
That's what they have to decide.
I personally, I don't buy that, you know?
Yeah, but we
Um,
won't need everybody to turn up each time either.
No,
Maybe
and
you
I'm not
do
saying
it,
that
you
everyone
commit
needs to turn
two
up.
in
Yeah.
a year rather than all four.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
way you get.
Honestly, it would be fine with me if everyone would do at least one quarter. You know,
Yeah.
but I just don't, when people say, well, I got my ride that day, or I got my run that day, or, you know, I can understand, we all have training, you know. I do a long run on Saturday, I go run 8 miles, and then I pick up garbage. I'm 48 years old.
Do we wanna just put it to a vote?
Yeah.
Just
Yep. Do we want to continue the project? I mean, I move that we
I mean,
vote to
say,
continue
raise
the
your
project.
hand if yes, you wanna continue it.
All those in favor of continuing it, raise your hand.
But what are they
And
committing to
anybody
if
who
they
raises
raise
their
their
hand needs to be at one of them in 2022.
Right.
You got a club of 150 people, and this is a smidgen of
But
that.
this is
Come on,
the
David.
forum that's here.
I do
Bad
like
time to stretch.
Adam's idea though about doing it later in the day, because this is Florida,
Yeah.
you get your training in the
We
morning,
can-
otherwise it's 100
Plus, I wanna hang out with you guys too, like, I
We
wanna,
can-
like, you know, it's like a
So
social
we're
event.
thinking
We
do
can-
2 later and 2 earlier.
And who's in favor of stopping doing it?
Who's gonna be the brave soldier?
Well,
Come on, Mark.
I've
So
never
it
done
sounds
it,
like
so
it's
I don't
something that we
know
would continue.
I don't know how to say yes or no if I've never done it, you know? It sounds like to me, if you don't mind me saying, it sounds like to me that even though a lot of people may say yes, that nobody's engaging on it. It sounds like doesn't seem like they want to. I mean, I don't know, I'm just.
Well, it seemed like there were more people that wanted to continue to do it than not. So for those of you who voted to continue it, then we
How's this?
need help.
When do we have to let them know by?
What's our by when
And you know,
date?
nothing says it has to be on a Saturday, nothing says it has to be in the morning. If Brian's taking it over, he can mix it up.
Well, why don't
Whatever
you
we wanna do.
why don't you get 4 signups on Run Sign Up right now for committing to next year? They can put it in right now and they can vote with their action.
Okay, so by when do we have to let them know if we're
Yeah.
gonna continue our, cleanup effort?
Kathy, do you know what our deadline is?
I think it would just be letting him know we're stopping.
Okay, so they're assuming that we're going to continue unless we tell them.
Yeah, and Jamie will let him know, and I guess Brian, he can shoot over your name.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we'll just figure out how to make it better for people to.
I mean, I was just saying, like, raising your hand here and then actually signing up is two totally different things. But if you're like, here's the 4 dates, if we get this many people signing up each time, we'll continue.
Well,
If not,
let's get the dates at our next
Right.
board meeting.
Yeah.
Let's put the dates for 2022.
And I think it may just be an issue of communicating a little more emphasis on the event. Like, I think probably what happens is people go, oh, I wanna do that, and then they go, oh, something came up and a bunch of other people are gonna show up, so I don't need to go. So maybe just a re-emphasis on how important it is to commit and to be there.
That's nice, yeah, that's great.
Thanks,
Jay. All right.
All right.
New business, monthly updates.
So-
Let's, finance and membership report. Right.
Finances. So the club started the month of September with $16,158.98. We finished the month of September with $17,044.56 for a gain of $615.10. We actually had a really large store purchase that helped. So total memberships, we have 94 individual memberships and 57 family memberships. I have noticed a bit of a trend that the individual memberships are going down and the memberships are going up. So I don't know if people are getting married or what, their kids are falling under family memberships, but so yeah, that anyone who wants to look at the actual breakdown, you're more than welcome to come up here and take a look.
And I post it with the minutes. I add the finance report, the membership report to the minutes when I post them. And you can always find that link on, with a post on the Facebook meeting event. So it'll be there in a few days. But each month, that link is there.
Cool. Hey, that giveaway stuff, that thing, like, we can raffle that shit out.
We could do that.
Yeah, you know, one of the cleanups or whatever. Tina, you're up.
Tina, you're up. Well,
Yeah, you have to come up here though.
yeah, but isn't this supposed to be over at 7:30?
Nope.
Yeah.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Funny. So darn, I thought, oh, move me to next month, that's fine.
3 and 3.
Okay, so I spent most of my career in human resources.
Who are you?
What?
Oh, that's what you
Oh,
are.
I'm Tina Goodman, AKA Justine Goodman. But my first husband didn't want to call me Justine, so he asked if he could call me Tina. That should have been my first clue, right? So somewhere along the line, I picked up Tina. But my career was spent in human resources, and with that, I did a lot of training. So there's cupcakes and there's candy. Please eat it. That's what you do in training, right? You bring food so people will come.
You're just trying to
So-
make the people in your age group fat.
Yeah, I haven't seen you eat one.
Cupcakes are good.
Oh, believe me, while I was frosting. Anyway, so I'm 66 and I'll be 67 tomorrow. Or I could be 67 on Friday because I have 2 dates on my birth certificate. When I went to get my driver's license when I was 16, the woman said, honey, you were born on the 29th, not the 28th that I had filled out. So everything was changed. Then on my 21st birthday, I'm telling the story, and somebody says, do you have your birth certificate? Pull it out. The doctor signed it on the 28th. It was typed on the 29th. But at that point, I didn't want to change everything back. So I'm really 134. And no one is in that age group. I've lived, born and raised in Michigan. I was going to give a shout out to Ren. Ren is the reason I'm here, because I would always go into the Endurance House and she'd always talk up the storm. And I'd say, but I don't live here. I'm just a snowbird. And she'd say, you know, do 2 or 3 tries and that pays for your membership. So that's what I did. and I didn't really become active until a couple years ago. But I've lived in Michigan, California for 7 years, Germany, Virginia for 30, now Florida. I was a snowbird for 17 years. Became permanent in Florida in 2018. Mark, who's not here, who's sleeping on the couch because he played golf today. We both play golf. Our moms introduced us, so that's how I met Mark, not sitting at a bar or anything like that. But we're engaged, we'll never get married because why? We're not gonna have kids, right? Okay, so career in HR, I worked at MCI, I was all involved in the .com industry, took my stock and ran, and I retired at 46. And I did my first try when I was 46, that was 20 years ago. And for the new people, let me tell you about lessons I learned. Test what you are wearing. So my first try, no one told me, and I didn't ask. I thought, oh, swim, bike, run. Okay, yeah, I got bike shorts. Those were the 3-inch padded bike shorts. You know, I sat really high in my seat. And then they said, oh, you should have a wetsuit. Well, I have a friend who's short like me. A windsurfing suit is different from a wetsuit. So my swim, I think Marty talked about it, I was like Trish trying to keep my head above water. The windsurf suit filled up with water. My biking shorts filled up with water. And that was my first swim in a triathlon. It was, and then running in that, while I was running, it looked like I was peeing because I mean, if you remember those old bike shorts, they were awful.
Fashion failure.
So test out what you're wearing. And no one told me, and I didn't ask, transitions count. I was brushing my hair, waving to my friends. I had the lipstick out. I was putting on my lipstick. I didn't know that at that time counted. So if you didn't know, it does.
How long were your transition times?
Not as long as you were at GFT.
You got the podium for that too.
My transition times are hot. I mean, I'm like at the top for beating competition of transitions now. The other thing I say, watch what you eat. Don't eat fiber cereal before you do a triathlon. And that's all I'll say about that.
People are like, you still in those bike shorts? No.
Oh my God. And know the course. So it was down here, and I think maybe even Storm put on the race, and I didn't really know the course, but it was for beginners, and I thought, well, this will be a fun thing to do in February. So I'm like second or third out of the water, and I'm like feeling really hot. These little kids are in it, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm beating the little kids. And then, so I'm biking, and I look over, and a little kid fell off of his bike on the other side of the street, and there were some volunteers and the police, and I said, hey, there's a kid down, you know, while I'm biking, and they got it. So I'm going, and I see this guy in front of me, and I'm going, okay, there's a guy and me. We are in the lead, and I'm going and going and going and going and going. Oh, no. And he pulls into his driveway. I should have turned where the volunteers and the policemen were, but I was
Mark?
so...
That's your fiance now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that...
Is that a Terry race?
No, it was, I think, but yeah, so know the course. And the other thing is to wear sunscreen. I just had a skin check the other day, and you're not going to see me in December because I've got to put this cream everywhere. And if you've ever done that, it's not a pretty sight. I'll be back to wearing a mask, especially on my face. Let's see. I've got 23 wins under my belt, if I can brag a little bit. We talk about goals. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, the last race, this woman beat me in 2018. She was first and I was fifth. And then she was racing in this last race. And so that's what I had going. I beat her by 32 seconds. Nice. But that was... thought I was gonna need a bag, because I was hyperventilating at the end, because you know, you have that turnaround, and she was right there. It was like, oh my God. I went to Worlds in 2019 for a draft legal race, but the highlight of that was my son surprising me, coming in from San Diego to be there, and having him cheering me on. Go, Mom, go. That was so super.
Way to set an example.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day. He's coming in January, and he said, I still need to do one of those. Every time he sees me, it's like, yeah, I should do one of those. So.
The hits race.
Alpha win.
Yeah.
I know, I said.
That's a nice race.
Yeah, he said there was just one there. So anyways, that's all there is to know about me.
What do you do about training, Tina?
I basically train every day. I might take a day off, but I'm 1 to 2 hours a day. I mean, today I did a 20-mile bike and a workout at the gym. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a 5-mile run. Unfortunately, I can't run distances anymore. My knees flare up. I did 1 marathon, and in my 20-mile training run, I tore my meniscus. I was determined I was doing that race, and I did. I didn't race for 4 more weeks. The whole time I was running, I was taking Tylenol followed by a Junior Mint. And that's how I got through the race, and I ran the whole race. 4 hours and 25 minutes, but I ran the whole way.
So you just run during the races then? You don't?
Oh no, I do. I can't run more than 3 times a week, otherwise my knee, I feel it in my knee. But if I did 2 Olympics this year, and both my knees flared up, and so I said, I'm not doing any more Olympics. And then they come up, and it's like.
Do you try to limit your run mileage per week?
Yeah. It's like I'll do 1 long, which is either 5 or 6, and then I'll do like 2 4s. And that seems, my knees are okay with that. If I push that anymore, then.
So you're talking, that's one of the things like Adam was talking, the limiters that you need to know of as a coach. If you tell the coaches your limiters, and they will adjust your plan for that.
Yeah. But I'm all about needing some swimming. That's the thing I don't know, maybe it was that thing I almost drowned in my first triathlon, just trying to keep my head above water. But I am the person that you will see, it hasn't happened in a while, where you're swimming and this person is on their back doing the backstroke, because I'll either go out too fast and you have a panic attack, or the wetsuit, I hate the wetsuit, and I can't breathe, and so I'll swim on my back. And it hasn't happened in a while. Linda's given me some tips on that. But yes, so I find I don't swim as much as I do biking, and I prefer to run versus swim, unless it's in the ocean with Linda.
Well, for somebody like you, that thing that they're doing at the Y would be really good.
Yeah,
that Y workout, I can't tell you, I can't brag about her more. It's a great workout.
Bethany is excellent. So is
And she is coaching you the whole time, unlike Masters where they kind of just give you the workout, right, Linda?
Yeah,
I mean, she is coaching us the entire time.
yesterday, last night, yeah, and she told me, she said, I expect your shoulders and lats to be sore today, and.
Did she have you doing pull-ups on the
No,
diving
we were
board?
doing the paddles, because I'm trying to correct my tendency to cross over.
It's a late workout, it's 7:30 to 8:30.
I was the only person there doing it, so we need to talk.
Oh, was there Monday?
Yeah, she told me.
Yep.
So that's it? Any other questions?
Good job, thank you.
Please eat the cupcakes, though.
Thank you for the
Pumpkin spice cupcake.
Thanks, Tina.
All right.
All right.
Cross that off.
Here's yours. Is good. About the donation.
Yep.
The vote for the 500.
Go ahead. So what we're talking about?
Okay, so it looks like our last, well, besides any other business. For anyone that was volunteering at the inline skate marathon, one of the groups that benefited from that event was We Try For Us, which is an organization that is run by Stephanie Rodriguez.
Stephanie and Alan.
Yeah, Stephanie and Alan. You've probably seen Alan, taking photographs at various races.
He has cerebral palsy.
No, he's got a copper, his body does not process copper, and that causes the same symptoms.
Okay.
So her organization basically pairs what do we call it?
Physically
challenged
challenged
athletes, with, people who either want to do the full triathlon or they want to do a relay team. And we've been, donating money to her organization for some time, and I went ahead and looked, and we made donations in 2013, 2014, 2016. There are some check stubs in here that have nothing written on them, so I don't know exactly who the donation was given to, but it's, the Sarasota Storm has been listed on their organization's page as, an organization that donates to her. And we have not made a donation to her in some time. So I wanted to bring to the floor a vote that we would donate $500 to their Care to Try now, right?
Yes.
Okay, Care to Try is
No,
the.
Be Try for Us. No, that is Care
No,
to
that's
Try.
the old,
That's
that's
name.
the old name. I know that she had to change the name. So their organization is Care to Try. So I'm moving, as a club, we donate $500.
Second.
All those in favor?
Question? I thought we voted on that last time.
No.
No.
That was the inline skate we talked about. She presented for inline skate in lieu of Mike. But it was for, it wasn't we did not take a vote on a donation. So we just wanted to know. Yep. Okay, so.
Can I ask
Yeah,
a
sorry,
question?
so
So for those of us who are new, I'm assuming we're accumulating balances from memberships or sales or donations or something, and we're sitting on 17,000. What do you typically do with the balances? What do we use it for?
So as a nonprofit, legally, we're not required to make donations. Historically, we have. I will say, looking back at the finances in the past 2 years, primarily because of COVID, we have not made a whole lot of donations. Since I've been treasurer, we've basically made one donation that I'm aware of. It was a donation to Leo. Open water school.
What kind of expenses do we regularly incur? Do you have a budget for the year?
Yeah, parties.
Yeah.
Happy hours, that's what we spend the money on.
But our mission statement is to support the community with.
Okay, so we pay for some social events for the group, that sort of thing.
Right, and to support healthy, active lifestyles, that's our mission. So with that said, this is a good cause. They do really good things for people who can't do for themselves. So it all started with the Hoyts. Do you all remember the Hoyts? Dave and his son?
Dick Hoyt.
Or Dick Hoyt, excuse me. It was pretty impactful, but I think it's a worthwhile cause. So everybody in favor of donating?
Well, any other questions before we take a vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Right, so she needs equipment, boat, wheelchair, strollers,
yeah.
or whatever.
Her stuff is starting to get a little old. I would say that she needs a new boat desperately, and this would be about the right amount of money for it.
All right, cool.
So that should be everything for old business, so.
Go through the events real quick?
Yeah.
All right, save the date.
Okay. So we have the happy hour, Friday the 12th of November, that's coming up. 6 p.m. in Siesta Key.
Actually, have the blue lifeguard tower.
Awesome. Friday the 12th, cool.
Bring a chair.
Bring a chair, we'll provide the refreshments and food.
What time?
Somehow.
6
o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay.
Yeah. No meeting in November because it's the day before Thanksgiving.
So there's no meeting next month.
Okay. Challenge Daytona is December 4th, Saturday, December 4th. It's a Storms Race series, so make sure you get your results up to Sheila and Dom if you do the race.
Formerly known as Challenge Daytona is now Clash.
Yes. Okay, and then the 14th is the Holiday Light Run. That is on our Facebook page.
It's Thursday, right?
Wednesday, where's that at?
That's fun, Benderson.
Benderson, right?
There's not a whole lot of running that happens. There's more like jogging up and watching the light show and then jogging back.
What month?
December.
December 14th.
The light show, if you've never seen the light show, they bought a $6 million light show that they did for the first time last year, and it's freaking awesome. It's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, the 18th, the Saturday, we're gonna try doing this ride and tie. We're trying to figure out exactly how to do it. At first, people were gonna show up and be paired, but I made an executive decision. We're gonna have a sign up, and a ride and tie is 2 people, 1 bike. We're going to meet at the Ashton Legacy Trail, so we'll tell you where it is. It's gonna be about a total of 8 to 10 miles, depending on exactly the course. What we need is people to sign up if they're interested in doing it, and do you have a bike you're willing to share with somebody? So I've done it on mountain bikes, I've done it on beach cruisers. It's supposed to be fun. I've done it in costume. And the goal is that if I was doing it with Mike, for example, we would share one of our bikes, and I would ride in front of him, leave the bike on the side of the road, start running, and then he would run up to it and leapfrog me. So you end up running about half the distance. It's supposed to be a lot of fun. We'll do time bonuses for people who can start early based on something cool. Maybe we can show up in costume or something like that. And you have to cross every intersection together, walking safely side by side. So if one runner gets too far in front, or if a biker gets too far in front, you kind of screw yourself because you want to time it all out. It's supposed to be for fun, but what we need is to create a sign-up sheet for people who want to do it and or have a bike, so we can start pairing people up, and we can just pair people up who don't have a bike with people who do. So we should come up with a form for that. But that's the general format. On here it says we're going to meet at Rise, but that's going to be a little bit too far off the beaten path or the Legacy Trail. So we're going to change that to the Ashton parking lot, which is being constructed right now. That's a new thing. Does anybody got questions on the ride and tire?
Awards for best decorated bike, best costume.
I mean, and honestly, the beat up more the bike, or like anything, like it all goes. Like you want to bring a scooter, or it doesn't matter.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna post the event as an event on the Facebook page, and there'll be a link to sign up and run sign up.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy.
Cool. Storm holiday party.
That's the same night.
Is the same night. So we're gonna do the ride and tie.
Afternoon.
And then we'll meet after the ride and tie, whether you want to do the ride and tie and then come, or if you just want to come to the party. That'll be it's right by Calusa Brewing, right off Clark. So that should be a fun event, workout, and then having some fun.
It's the 18th?
18th. Yep.
Do you have an agenda?
Lunchtime.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of the agenda?
No, we don't circulate them.
Okay, sorry. Just go to the events. So there's a tab for events on our Facebook page, the membership page. It'll be on there.
Okay, monthly meeting is December 22nd.
Okay.
Christmas Day.
Yeah. And then,
maybe here, or we may find a more seasonal place to have a somewhat less formal meeting. We'll figure that one out.
Okay. We're trying to find the right event and venue, but mark your calendars for Saturday, January 15th will be our annual kickoff event, and details to be determined.
That's a fun event. Usually a formal. We'll have it, nice dinner and awards and that'll be fun.
General jolliness.
The what?
General jolliness.
Lisa, do you think we can plan another San Antonio ride sometime in November?
Sure, I say once a month, either the hills, either San Antonio or Claremont. Cause I got Chatty coming and I got into Alcatraz.
Yeah, that was a great turnout at San Antonio last time. We all had a great time.
It's about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half from here. We typically roll at like 7:30 in the morning, and it's about a 40-mile ride with about 2,300 feet of climbing. Something like that.
I don't think it's that much in San Antonio, but
that
if
much.
anybody likes the hills.
1,700.
Yeah, and then Claremont's 23, I think.
With gentle hills, they're not.
They're not Claremont hills. No, they're not.
So lots of opportunities. All right.
Okay, yeah, and then I had some other stuff we can hear next time, so that's it. I think we have some future topics coming up, but we'll whatever.
If anybody has anyone they might suggest for a speaker, contact me, because I'm kinda running out.
We have Tanya on, next month for hormone
Yeah.
therapy, right?
December, Tanya's
On
doing
cue.
it.
Cool. Hey, Tanya.
All right, you're up for December, you're guest speaker, we're
You're on,
adjourned.
girl. Thank you all. Very nice to meet everybody.
Welcome everybody who's new, thank you for coming.